Hello. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you all. Well, I suppose it's time to talk about the day. Let's get to it. It all started at around 9 o'clock. I woke up and I found out that my alarm clock had finally run out of battery. So I got the last of my Pro Cell batteries and popped them into the alarm clock because it's AA battery powered. It immediately turned on, thankfully, and I set it back to the correct time, which, as of right now, is currently 2 a.m. in the morning. So after I did that, I was like, oh, that was my last Pro Cell battery. What do I do? Well, I guess I'll order more. So I went on Amazon and I ordered a new pack of Pro Cell alkaline batteries for $20. And those should be arriving tomorrow. So that's exciting, I guess. After making that order, I remember there was this. Oh gosh, what happened after that? I remember I wanted to listen to this new. Oh, now I remember. I want to watch something to go with my cake that I bought from Walmart the other day. I think yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah. So, I was looking online, trying to find something. I ended up settling on a What Happened by Matt McMuscles on the Earthworm Jim 3D video game. So, before I hit play and before I got my cake, our family friend came up to me and asked if I'd be interested in having tacos. I accepted the offer because I thought, well, that sounds pretty good. So I had the tacos. I had two, medium sized, and I also had some Sprite to go with that. It was very good. I even offered her family friend some Sprite, and she said yes. So I brought the Sprite over. We ate the food, enjoyed each other's company, and our family friend went off to do their own thing. And so, after I was done with the two tacos, I decided to get my cake, make a cup of coffee, and go watch this Matt McMuscles What Happened on Earthworm Jim 3D. I admit this was a terrible idea, and the reason why was because I was pretty much fairly full from those two tacos. But I decided to still eat the cake anyways, but because I was kind of full from the tacos, I didn't really enjoy the cake. I feel like I would have enjoyed it much more if I wasn't so full from it. So that was a major bummer. Major bummer. Because that thing cost like $4.18, and not enjoying something you spent that amount of money on is a real shame. I watched this video. It was pretty interesting. The creator of Earthworm Jim decided to sell the IP to another studio. And then he went off to do a bunch of other things that didn't really, bear fruit. Earthworm Jim was the game was actually going to be a PC exclusive Earthworm Jim 3D, but the publisher wanted the game to be released on everything: PlayStation, N64, as well as PC. And instead of having the one team bring those dev duties to a third-party developer, they were asked to do all 3 ports on their own. So all 3 ports were very rushed. They were asked to make sweeping changes to the game design pretty close to release. And ultimately, the game was poorly constructed, poorly finished due to horrific mismanagement and short-sighted thinking, and not having the game given the amount of you know time and the amount of developers it needed to really work out. So it ultimately failed because of just a perfect storm of you know bad decisions stacking up on each other to create like a domino effect. And there hasn't really been any new Earthworm Jim projects ever since. There have been remasters of the old games, and then like re-releases of them, and like old like collections and stuff on modern consoles, but that's about it. Yeah, the IP has mostly remained dormant. There was like this announcement that a new Earthworm Jim game was coming to a device called like the Amiga Television or something. It was going to be like one of those retro console Kickstarter projects in the same vein as that Atari box that was like announced and they released. It was basically low minimum spec like gaming like laptop PC that was like released in like I think 2017. It was really one of those novelty like devices where it's like it looks like a modern Atari console, but it's basically just like a PC in the shape of a modern Atari console. It was essentially Atari's desperate attempt to make something that like you know seemed like they were back in the console space, but really it was just a vain attempt at seeming like they had returned when in reality it was just like this novelty item that really only lasted for a short while before people realized it was very anemic and not really cut to run anything on it at all. So most people just abandoned. Atari went back to being a third-party publisher for like software, because that's where they went after the Jaguar failed. Anywho, yeah. So this Amiga thing, it was going to have a new Earthworm Jim game apparently, but apparently it was also just vaporware that was being announced as like, ooh, we're making this new game and it can only be possible on this retro console platform. So, guys, you better fund the Kickstarter so that way we can make it. In reality, they never had any game or prototype or dev team assembled. It was basically just like a vain attempt at getting people interested in a new Earthworm Jim game being only playable on this weird Intellivision device, and it just didn't really drum up enough excitement to get that ball rolling. They were hoping that people being excited about new Earthworm Jim would get them to throw their money at the Amiga project so that way they could get it off the ground. But ultimately, it was something that just okay. It had poor management and just no one knew what to do, how to market it, how to really sell it. So it just fell apart. And now the company's like millions of dollars in debt. So yeah, and the worst thing is like they got the project funded through Kickstarter, and now a lot of Kickstarter backers are super upset because they wanted this thing to succeed, and now because it was being ran by a company that didn't know what they were doing, all that money they spent in hopes of this project being brought to life basically just went down the tubes. So epic fail, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is about Earthworm, other than the fact that there was going to be like there was this show being teased in like 2022 about like Earthworm Jim. There was like a little interview clip like being shown. Like I remember watching it, be like, oh, there's Earthworm Jim. That 90s mascot that was talked about a lot by internet commentary people throughout the mid to late 2000s and early 2010s that I watched a lot when I was a kid. I wonder what they're going to do with him. Turns out it was just a pitch. The show hasn't been officially made. Apparently, it's been in like development hell. So I don't know if it will be made. Maybe if it's made, that'll inspire a new game to be released. But apparently, there's like, you know, a controversy with the creator of Earthworm Jim. He said some things that people didn't like, and now they don't want him to be associated with the property anymore. So there's that too. So yeah, pretty interesting. Anywho, yeah. After watching that, I remember I wanted to check in on my PlayStation subscription because I was subscribed to the premium model last year because it was like around. It was a cheap deal. It was like I had like a coupon and also they had it discounted severely, so I was able to get the premium option for like $80. So I had that for like about a year. Gotta be honest, I have barely touched it to the point where it's like, why? Even if it was the same price it is, like as it would be now, which it isn't, I don't think I would feel compelled to get that. I guess I would because it's the best overall option in terms of the features and stuff you can do with it. But ultimately, I don't use it enough for me to really justify spending a lot of money on it. So it would just feel like I'd be throwing money down a hole. But I still was interested in having those monthly games because I think like, ooh, sometimes they have some really cool monthly games available, and maybe I could and they have that Grounded Xbox game that was only on Xbox, but now it's on PlayStation and it's on the PlayStation Plus subscription essentials model. I was like, I kind of want to play that. So, and hey, if it means I can play while also having access to many other games on top of it, then I guess it could be a bad thing. I'll just get the essential option. And I found out that the essential option is now as much as what I paid for the premium option last year with the deal they had of it being a discount and me having some credits I could use. Now it is $80 for the essential option. Last time I checked, it was like $60. So that sucks. But I have to admit, I did buy it because I reasoned in my head, well, hey, it's $80 for a whole year. That's like $6 a month. It's not great that's that much. Like I would have felt far better if it was $60 than $80. But hey, I was interested in this game and having access to all these other games that I've had throughout the years was why I got it. So yeah, but now I'm thinking about it, probably not my wisest purchasing decisions. But hey, I wanted it, so I got it. So it's all on me. Yeah, I just think, why is it like $80? I guess they're subsidizing like the fact that the console components are starting to cost more to produce, and so in order to avoid like the PlayStation 5 being a super expensive machine, they're cranking up the price of the PlayStation Plus option so that way they don't have to crank up the price of the console, even though they recently cranked up the price of the console. So now it's like $650, I think, for the base version now, which sucks. For a 5-year-old console, that is ridiculous. I mean, back in my day, when a console was released, that was the most expensive it would ever be. And then as time would go on, they'd figure out ways to shrink like the silicon and to make it cheaper to produce, and they make slim models, and they release the slim models, and sure, they'd have a few features nipped and tucked away, but overall it would still be the same box that could play the same great software. and for a much cheaper price. Like for PlayStation 2, there was the PlayStation 2 Super Slim. The PlayStation 3, there was the PS3 Slim, which was like a substantial decrease in price. And then there was the Super Slim, which was an even greater decrease in price. It was like the George Foreman PlayStation 3, which is the one that I actually have. And then PlayStation 4, again, they did something smart when they released the super slim version of the PS4. They had the super slim version, which was like, 300 bucks, and then they had the PS4 Pro, which was 400 bucks. So you could spend the same amount of money you used to spend on the original PlayStation 4, but you'd have a version of your console that could play games at higher resolutions and potentially better frame rates. Although it really depended on the game. Those Jaguar CPUs were the things that really held that system back, though. But now we're in the PlayStation 5 generation, and there's never been a worse time to be a fan of gaming. Prices just keep on increasing for everything, and the value seems to be going down. There isn't as many compelling bits of software getting released as there used to be. I feel like there was always something cool just around the corner with every new release throughout the generations of PS2 and PS3 and even PS4. But now with PS5, it feels like everything it has to be like a live service game, and then the actually interesting and cool single player games that people buy a PlayStation for. I feel like they're so far away off into the horizon that you have to wait ridiculous amounts of time to have access to them. Like when the PS5 came out, I was 20. I was like, oh boy, I can't wait to see what cool experiences are going to be on this device. Currently 27, and honestly, there really isn't that much to write home about. I mean, there's the Spider-Man games, but I feel like I got a similar experience on the PlayStation 4 with the Spider-Man Insomniac made. It's not to say that the Spider-Man games on PS5 aren't bad, because they are quite good. I only have Miles Morales and the PS5 remaster of the original Spider-Man game Insomniac made, but those are a lot of fun. They look good. The ray tracing is really nice and impressive for hardware of that caliber. Um, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I'm not sure if that's going to be the last Ratchet and Clank game, because it might be. I don't know. Might not be. I'm not sure. Well, it released at the launch of the PlayStation 5, but it's been so long since that one came out. And then you have games like God of War Ragnarok, which was a cross-gen game, which was available on both the PS4 and PS5. So it wasn't really taking advantage of what the PlayStation 5 was capable of, because the software had to contend with the original hardware that it was probably designed around. So hey, that's pretty, that sucks. And then Naughty Dog is the biggest disappointment this generation. You look at, if you go back to their history, PlayStation 1, you had Crash 1, 2, 3, and Team Racing. PlayStation 2, you had the Jak trilogy and Jak X. PlayStation 3, you had the Uncharted trilogy, and you had The Last of Us. Groundbreaking, excellent games that I thoroughly enjoy. And then you have the PlayStation 4, and we're one less game this generation. Okay, one less game, but still, 3 is a decent amount to have for that generation. We had, we had Uncharted, the Thief's End, very beautiful game, one of the best looking games ever. I play a game now, and it looks like you could release a day and people would still be blown away by it. It's that good. And the PlayStation 5 remaster is fantastic. Then there's Uncharted Lost Legacy, which came out so soon after that you could have sworn wow, it seems like they could have just pumped out new Uncharted games this generation fairly easily if they could just get Lost Legacy out the door. But I assume it was being developed as DLC for Uncharted 4, as Uncharted 4 was being developed. But then partway through, they decided to do a Miles Morales on the game and just make it its fully featured own, you know, single player experience and just make it a standalone game instead of a DLC game. So they released it on its own as such. And that was, I haven't played it, but I've seen footage and it looks like it's a really good game. So maybe I'll eventually get around to playing it one of these days. And then I do have the Legacy of Thieves collection for PlayStation 5, which I think was ported by Naughty Dog. But then the last one was, of course, Last of Us Part 2, which I only played the opening of. I haven't played the full game because, gotta be honest, those clickers scare me. But yeah, it's that game got a lot of praise. I had a lot of controversy when it came out. A lot of people had a lot of drama about it. But hey, it still was fairly well received for its gameplay mechanics, at least. So you have 3 games for PS4 by Naughty Dog. PlayStation 5, excluding the remasters of Uncharted, A Thief's End, and Lost Legacy, and excluding the remaster of The Last of Us Part 2, we technically only have one brand new game for the PlayStation 5 by Naughty Dog. And it's a 1-to-1 remake of The Last of Us Part 1. The only thing we've gotten from Naughty Dog in the PlayStation 5 generation is a remake of a PlayStation 3 game that already had a PlayStation 4 remaster that was perfectly playable on the PlayStation 5. I don't know. I feel like that decision was just so ridiculous. I just thought, why did they do that? There was a perfectly playable version of PlayStation of the game already that you could play on PlayStation 5, but they still decided to make this new version, just I guess to have it have visual parity with The Last of Us Part 2. I don't think people really cared. I think people are like, we know it's in the same universe because it's a continuation of the previous story. We don't need the characters and the environments to look the exact same as the previous game. I guess it's great now for people who want that visual consistency between Last of Us Part 1 and 2. But that's about it. It's literally the same game, I guess. I hear they improved a few things, like the AI is better and maybe the sound design is better, but it's like, are you kidding? This is so silly. It's frustrating, man. Yeah, and they recently announced, like a few years ago, actually, not even recently, they are making a new game called Intergalactic: The Heretic Legacy, I think, or something like that, or Prophecy. I don't know. Not much to really go off of. Its main character is this, like, lady who seems like she's like, I'm cool and no one can stop my groove, and I'm gonna go on this planet that's all isolated and fight these alien creatures. Yeah, and that's about it. Which, I don't know, it's kind of weird because we have a similar game like that on PlayStation 5 already called what's it called? Returnal. It's like, ooh, lady crash lands on a planet, and now she has to fight aliens to survive in an ever growing environment. I guess the only difference is, like, ooh, you're like a punk rock lady instead of a scientist lady. Cool. Yeah. I don't know. It's cool that it's a new IP. I'm glad Naughty Dog's doing a new IP instead of just making endless sequels to the IPs they introduced throughout the PS3 generation. That's cool. I'm glad they're doing that. Yeah. But holy cow, I just went on and on there, didn't I? Basically, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles, for that matter, are probably the most anemic generation of consoles in recent gaming memory. Because, like, we still have had quite a few solid titles have released. Like, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a great game. Doom: The Dark Ages looks fun. Um, yeah, there's probably a few more I'm not thinking about right now, but overall, it just feels like this generation has just kind of been like a meh generation. It's kind of a shame. Man, what was I talking about? I was talking about like the increase in prices, and then I went on and on about this thing about my opinions on where like the Sony specifically in the gaming industry is right now. Let's just move on. Yeah. So yeah. After buying that and you know renewing the licenses, because apparently you have to renew licenses on your games now, which sucks. Unless of course you own a physical copy, which I suppose I should do for games I actually really enjoy. But which I do own a few that I'm like actually enjoy. Um, I remember going out of my room and I wanted to go for like a walk around the neighborhood for like a good like 25 minutes. Walked for a bit, but realized the sun was getting hot, so I put on some sunscreen, SPD 50, I think it was, and then I continued on my walk. It was a nice walk. I really enjoyed it. When I returned, as I was going on the walk, I remember I was listening to a Simi and Jimmy video where Rich McCoy and Iggy Eggman were talking about the Scary Movie, that new movie that just came out, and they were talking about how they thought it was pretty edgy. Then when I arrived back at the house, my mom and my sister were there. I greeted them, and then I decided I wanted to try the McDonald's French fries, but with the full-on beef tallow and a little bit of canola oil. So I did that. So I did half a cup of beef tallow and 2 tablespoons of canola oil. And I was waiting for it to heat up, and as I was helping my sister clean out the fridge by throwing away old food that we had touched in like weeks, and yeah, putting them in the dishwasher. Yeah, and then I fried some fries, got them out. Yeah, they were pretty good. I liked the very savory, a nice slight beefy aftertaste to them in a good way, not in a bad way. And I gave some to my mom, sister, and family friend. They enjoyed it too. I then made a sandwich. My sister helped by getting this cheese cutter she found that her family friend got and cut a piece of cheese from a block of cheese, Tillamook cheddar. I thanked her for her help. I put the cheese on, along with mustard, mayonnaise, cayenne pepper, and honey ham. And I put that in a bento box with some walnuts. And I put that away. I put on my clothes, my work clothes. I said goodbye to my mom and sister and family friend, told them all I love them. And then I drove off to work. When I arrived at work, I punched in. I brought my food upstairs into the break room, put it away, put on my sweeping vest, start sweeping the produce area, and then I punched in the produce sweep. I was told by one of my coworkers that I actually was put on sweep and lot at the same time, so they decided to take my sweep for the rest of the half hour so I could clear lot, so I did that. I cleared a lot. I'm glad I put on the sunscreen because it was quite a hot day today. Yeah, and then after I was done with that, I remember came back, put the vest back on, and then I just continued sweeps for the rest of the day. Sweeped the break room, sweeped the store floor, said hello to one of the meat department peeps. I had my first break. Went upstairs. One of my coworkers was eating some beef. I asked them what they were eating. They told me it was like a special seasoned beef from the meat department. They asked me if I wanted to try some. I said sure, so I grabbed one. I tried it, and it was pretty good. Very aromatic, very distinct, very seasoned, very flavorful. I enjoyed it, and I thanked them. I then looked at the posters up on the wall for a while, and it was like posters about like moving up the ladder and all this interesting stuff. I then decided to go downstairs, punch, well, not punch back in, but go back in. I was called in because there was an egg that dropped, so I wiped the egg away until the floor was nice and clean. I then took out the trashes. Um, I I asked one of my bosses if I could go and take out the trash for the office and if they could open the back gate for me so I could take out the trash. They did that. I was done taking out the trash. One of my co-managers wanted to know my thoughts on the movie Disclosure Day. I told them everything similar to what I said in my last video, but with the added, well, actually, I mentioned that too with the President Richard Nixon and that actor from The Honeymooners, so don't need to mention that here. Then I went over, punched out for my lunch break, went upstairs, had my ham sandwich, which was very good with the walnuts. I had a bag of Doritos, hot chips, and I also had a bottle of water and a Red Bull, lemon flavored, and I got that for free from work, by the way. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention on my first break, I also got they were giving away another free drink. It was like this coffee beverage, so I got that. It was pretty good. Well, pretty good. I haven't had it yet, so I can't say if it's good or not. But it's in the refrigerator up there, so yeah. All right. Well, after I was done eating, I was watching this new Ross Coulthart Road to Disclosure documentary where he was talking about like everything they've done to get to where they're at this point in the road to disclosure, as he calls it. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. And then I went downstairs. I punched back in. I was told by one of my coworkers that they did a lot of the bags already, but there were still a few pockets of check stands that still need extra bags, so I did that really quick. When I was done with that, I remember bagging mostly, then going on and off to wipe each and every check stand down. Worked out pretty well. Then, yeah, I closed the produce blinds. I said goodnight to my co-manager and my co-workers. I went outside, went in my car, finished the Ross Coulthart Road Disclosure documentary. Pretty interesting. And then I drove home. When I got home, I greeted my mom and sister, and we talked for a while. Then I went into the kitchen. I ate some chips that were made by our family friend that were fried in the beef tallow. That I was I was expecting them to do that because I thought like it was going to be put away, but no, it was used for that. But that's fine. The chips were pretty good. I then watched. I put some cheese on, microwave that for 20 seconds. Then I had a Pepsi, a prebiotic cherry flavored soda. I was watching a new Dan Dingle video where it was talking about how you can easily program games like with less than a few prompts with this new AI called Fable 5 from Anthropic. However, I just found this out just today, and apparently Anthropic's Claude Fable 5 is so powerful that the United States is genuinely fearful that it could be used by foreign adversaries to hack into government systems very quickly, easily, and efficiently. So Fable 5 has now been officially banned. So, people were able to mess around with it when it first released and have a go at it. Like Dan Dingle was making, Minecraft clone with it. It was pretty funny watching that. But yeah, now it's inaccessible. But I have to be honest, he was so into the game and talking about like throwing all these ideas into it that I was into it. I was like, wow, this is actually like for some reason fun to watch this guy explore this game and its ideas. Then our family friend came out, offered some cereal. I had the cereal while watching the Dan Dingle video. And then finally, I decided to get ready for bed. I took my vitamins. As I was doing this, I was listening to an Eyes on Cinema video about like thousands being abducted by aliens and communicating their story, little documentary thing. And then I brushed my teeth, and then I decided to record this video. So now I've got to edit this thing. It's, I'm just going to put the two separated clips together, and that's it. Export it. It's probably going to take a while to export. So I'm probably not going to publish this until tomorrow. So, yeah. Well, anyways, have a good night, everyone. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. And take care.